Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine.
Hello. Oh yeah, so apparently, I'll say right up front, apparently, let me turn the music down a bit. Apparently this game is only like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that, so we're going a bit short today. Maybe I'll see how the end of that goes. If anyone else ends up streaming tonight, I'm probably happy to raid them after that. Maybe do some kind of multiplayer at the end, but yeah, I fancied. I've got a number of these kind of 5-hour, slightly more, or quite a bit less in this case. I've got a number of these kind of games on Steam, just these very narrative-focused ones. The only thing I know about this is that it was in Jim Sterling's top however many games of whatever year it came out. It's by the Stanley Parable guy, a game I still haven't gotten around to playing. And apparently it's getting like a director's cut, so maybe I'll wait for that. And also that, apparently like that game does, this game gets very meta. That's all I know, basically, so... Yeah, I haven't really looked into the channel points thing. 40 minutes. Is it pretty easy to set up the channel points? I'll have a good look at that. Like, would I feasibly be able to do that, like, right now, in a few minutes? I definitely could... I would like to, I probably won't have a play this request for my Peds does. But it might be worth looking. Do I? Oh, I guess that's on every channel. Oh, right. I suppose what you mean still alive is, like, specific ones, like, Jeff's got the Sin one, or, Pets has the Play This one. One stupid idea that came to mind is a bit of a running joke between me and Jeff Yard is, a Sonic joke book I've still got somewhere. And I thought of this stupid idea just to redeem me telling a joke from said joke book. The thing is, it's not that big a book, so before long you would hear all of them, but that's the only thing I could think of. I can't sing. I don't really want to do the Play This thing. I'll look into something, but that is, I do like that the points are already there, so you could put shades on DK and whatnot, so that makes me happy. Cool. I can't remember, what game is this song from? I don't immediately recognise that. Every time I say I'm going to change the, the speed of the song name thing, I never do. Oh, it's Rayman! Oh, nice. It's lovely. What is that Beanus character like that, digitized guy's made up? Like a being consisting of baked beans, strange one. I don't immediately know what Lost Paradise is, actually. You tell, is that a cool old shooter? So now you're quite a bastion of knowledge on that subject. So I trust your word on it. Right, a bit of a voiceover here. I'll just let the game explain itself.
Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike.
Oh, is that what it is?
Here, by the way. And
oh, actually, yeah, it does look like that.
Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all...
Sorry, just very quickly. We'll just very quickly change the setting on the stream because I've been too ambitious in terms of bitrate. So I'm trying to use CPU to render, and I've done that too high, really. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? Oh, it's the Fist of the North Star Yakuza. Oh, nice. That hasn't come out over here, has it, Lost Paradise?
Of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first.
How many emails has he been sent after
As each
that?
game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Kraken. I saw, like, I had to kind of glance to not, like, look at it too closely, but I saw talk of, like, I saw talk of, like, is this character really this character sort of
This
thing,
game is
so...
called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Right, I tell you what, I'm very sorry about this. I'm just gonna restart and stream very quickly. I'm being too ambitious, basically. I changed how I'm rendering it, so it's not the CPU. Back in a second. Oh wait, oh sorry, it's me being daft. It's because I'm recording it as well. Is that affecting? Oh no, we're not restarting. Wait, no, are we? Oh no, I think I'll be okay actually. Yeah. Sorry, ignore. Not restarting stream. Yeah, sorry, it's because I was streaming and recording. Oh, it's because I tested it out by recording earlier and forgot to stop that. And it turns out my CPU doesn't want to be streaming and recording this without a little something to give. I think it should be okay like this though. I hope the quality's okay, because I did lower the bitrate. I hope it's alright. Yeah, I really have no idea what the context of this is, if Coda is a real fella, or...
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin shooting.
Oh, I was hoping we could break that glass. God, I wish I could tell you more. I really do. I like to go into media blind, you know, and this is very much a case of, oh wow, yeah. That's quite funny, actually. Okay, I guess it's got to bottom out at some point. This is Sky Pop. I forget the name of Jeff's friend that he made Sky Pop with.
Apparently the space station has a labyrinth on it.
So is Is
Sure, I
Jeff's
don't know.
friend Skypop?
There's
Is
really
this
no reason
Jeff?
for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
I mean, can Jeff put on the
Or
good...
if
Have
you'd
you ever
really
heard
like
Jeff
to
put on the good
self-elaborate,
American
you're
accent?
welcome
Is
to
that
do
what he's
that
doing
too.
here? Self-elaborate. Yeah, this is like a game of, I guess, skill, you could say? At least I don't think it is. I mean, if you look at the options, not got a lot going on there. So it's very much a game with different priorities, which I fancied giving a go, and it was also just a way to chip away at a few games that have been in my Steam library for a while that I've wanted to play.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting.
Jeff
The
is
game
American.
has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it?
Oh gosh.
Would you give yourself?
So at what point does the game, like, probably too early to be trying to... Oh!
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Rainbow, what's your username? Oh my god, is it still up? Oh, that's my fault from putting the... well, I was typing stuff in chat, using one of the keyboard buttons I pressed is also my hotkey. Oh god, what? See, with this game, I don't know if this is
The beam
intended.
causes you to start
Oh,
floating.
okay.
And this is an important moment for him.
Panicked for a
Because
minute.
yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda
Cricket.
identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face
Oh,
of this
it is. Yeah,
larger
okay, I
chaotic
do.
system.
Yeah, I remember this on.
Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Hiya, Danny. Hiya, Cumber. Yeah, I say, come on. How does he say it? Like, what? What? Oh gosh. Hiya, Danny. Hiya, Cumber. We're playing something very weird today. Probably not.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh, that's the worst. So, this is basically an experimental, bizarre, very meta narrative game. We're not far in. Basically, the voice you hear is describing games that a friend of his made. And how they started. Well, it started with like a Counter-Strike level, and then that space one you just saw.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Very good. That reminds me of the Chrono Trigger bad ending, wasn't it? Like the future refused to change. Not far off though. Why does the future keep... Oh, well. The future's not refused in this case then, is it? Oh gosh. Oh, this is gonna make me sick. I can't even imagine what it's like to watch this. Turns out you really miss the ability to move forward in a game like this. When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. Actually, the game's cover is like a series of steps like this, so I'm guessing future is always behind her. She find the strength to texture the walls, to confront her.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
I mean, maybe... I don't know, struck me as quite profound. I think quite clever. I'm easily swayed. This is not a... You can probably tell, this is not a game about accomplishing difficult
And that's
tasks.
Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Gosh, I have no idea where this is.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Unicycling sounds fun.
I thought that was part of the game for like half, like the tiniest of moments. I was like, what the fuck? That's a change of voice. Well, he's just talking about a friend of his who made loads of games from 2008
Once you've been
to
slowed to an
2011.
absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter,
That's a good
it'll bring
question.
you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Oh, I hope that goes well, Danny, the physics project. It would make me feel very dumb. I am not a science person, man. So I really hope that goes well for you, man. What does it involve? Can you say it in layman's terms? What does it involve? Oh, gosh, for like... Start in a small room. You can... Are these meant to be that small?
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Sorry, you probably can't read those on stream. As if that's from the resolution I've set it at.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
I'll read a few of these quickly if you can't see them. Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. A button you press to stop the chaos that doesn't work. A lot of kind of interesting elevator pitch lines, basically.
What is this?
With really tiny text, yeah. In Rayman's terms, it's a great escape. I appreciate both a good pun and a Rayman 2 reference. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I hope this plays well as a stream. I really just kind of fired this up on a whim. This is just one of many short first-person narrative-based games I've got on Steam, and
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
the puzzle. Come on.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
I mean, I'm not very astute when it comes to reading interesting things in from a narrative you kind of have to bring your own readings from, so I apologise if I'm not
So
able
that
to
seems to
deliver
be
that
it,
by
right?
the end of this.
You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Hiya, Fireball! How did Xenogears go in the end? I can't believe that, of all the streams to tune into, man. And again, I'm sorry it was so short, but it only happened to be the very final one. Oh, wow. 41 parts, though, Les. Good on you. And good on your dog as
How
well,
about
because
that?
she's adorable.
There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I find this fascinating. I can see it not clicking with everyone, but I quite like some of the concepts explored in there.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
No worries, Fireball. Thanks so much for tuning in regardless. You had to leave your PS2 run and you didn't get a save point. And oh no! Oh no! Oh wait, you mean you have lost progress, or you... Oh, I see. Okay. Oh. Hiya, Jeff. No worries at all. No problem at all. Thanks so much for coming in regardless. Hi, Amadeus. Good, thank you. We're playing a very weird game. A very narrative-focused one with a lot of voiceover. Where the voiceover talks about a bloke who made really strange little meaningful metaphorical games. I really like it so far.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
That checks out.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source.
Hey!
Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
I mean, that checks out with Valve games, right? They tend to be in very clinical environments. So yeah, I guess this is on a Source. Well, no, isn't it like... Is it just called Source, the engine that like Half-Life 2 and whatnot run on? Isn't it like Source something? I mean, whatever the case, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the VR Half-Life Alyx game. Yeah, I could see some people finding this game a bit up its own backside, but I honestly really like it. I find it fascinating, and I guess his voiceover is affable enough that and the concept's this inside interesting enough that no, it works for me. Again, I don't know how well it plays on a stream. In a way, a narrative-focused game is probably a very good fit for a stream, but I also don't know if this is just it's obviously not very moment-to-moment gameplay. I don't mind that. I fancied something like this for a change. I've ended up with quite a few games like this on Steam, so I thought I should try and go for a couple.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
I like it. So I don't know where we are now. Is this hey! It's like a Zelda. Oh gosh, what? Oh yeah, I could have that B1, couldn't I, still alive? I wonder what's for
This prison,
oh,
funny enough,
it's
in
prison.
Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
God, it's like bloody Earthbound, isn't it? What was it, you have to wait like 5 minutes in that bit of Earthbound? Or are we stuck in the... See, anytime this game does something glitchy, I don't know if that's the game or if that's... I think we actually might be stuck. What? No, he should have said something by now, shouldn't they? Oh god. See you in an hour. Well, possibly here the Jasm is a tosser. Right then. By the way, don't forget you're here forever. I don't know, maybe it is to like, in regards to the fact you had to wait there for a while, but I think this is. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Apparently so, yeah. Is this where this gets meta? Because, again, I don't know if this is a genuine bug or if this is part of the thing. What if we restart this level? I was going to say that's back really far, though. Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about video game development for a second.
See, oh,
Every
gosh.
video game runs on what's called an engine.
I
which
don't know
determines
if that
what
was
the game
intended or
can and
not.
cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
I don't know why Mod No Cool didn't work, okay.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine
I'd
called
expected
Source.
something like that,
Like all
yeah,
engines,
but...
Source has certain things
That
that,
might
it
have
does
just
well, and it
genuinely
has
been a
certain
weird
things that it does
glitch.
poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear
We
corridors.
didn't have to, like, try hard
That's
for that,
why
did we?
so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Speedrun strats.
The tools available
Yeah, you have to look
create
down the
shape
floor
what
the whole
kinds of
time like a
creative
GoldenEye
work they're gonna
speedrun.
end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Alright, so go in here, get the spiel
This
about
prison,
how long we
funny
have to
enough,
wait in
in
there.
Coda's
Jeff.
original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Okay, careful. Careful. Alright,
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot.
that was a glitch, wasn't it? I wonder how many people
You know,
got that.
whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
God damn it, Code. That was too much for... Was it Andy Warhol, the kind of crazy experimental painter? Should be more cultured. For sure, really, but... You'll lose canon, Coda.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Yes, we do actually technically have a puzzle to solve.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Yeah, I can really imagine this just getting a what the hell is this kind of reaction and just sort of... It was well reviewed though, and I know the Stanley Parable, the other game this guy made, as in the guy talking, not Coda, who may or may not exist. Oh my gosh, what?
What is this?
That's a lot of
Coda is
that.
using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
I'm really sorry the text is appearing so small. That might be the resolution I've got it at. I'll read it all out. So the question is, you there? Did you come from up above? What was up there? And actually, all 3 answers are to do with like, like various parts of this quote-unquote game we played. Like, there was an enormous prison we spent hours in. There were floating coloured blocks. We'll focus on the prism because it does feel like hours. That's the world above. You've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? So it ranges from saying yes, that's literally the last thing we did, to lying and saying no, to I prefer not to tell you after all we've only just met. We'll be truthful. Now, please tell us how you solved this. Tell us the solution. So I don't remember how I solved it. Well, I did, because it was pretty straightforward. I didn't solve it, someone else let me in. I mean, that's kind of true, someone else let us in.
He's cheating! Look!
So you've learned nothing, you cannot escape this prison. You are not the one I need, surely there will be someone else. Oh god, what? Blockhead twisting? What? Hi then. Gosh, this just keeps getting more fascinating, doesn't it? Stanley was happy. Yeah, what's Hylix? I don't recognise that guy. What did you get there? So they're asking here about a puzzle you had to pass through. Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? No, we actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Actually, now that you mention it, I remember feeling strange as I passed through it. Don't think too hard about it. You'll see it again, so I don't know, man. I don't know where this is going. We haven't heard from the narrator, man, in, well, probably only 5 minutes, but that's quite a long time to not hear him.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Was this a jam at the downward spiral steam still? Oh dear. Well, because the engine remarks with it being source. No. I mean, that Steam Labs thing they do, that's kind of interesting.
It's a lamppost.
How many games are on
Okay,
the
I
Steam
can't
store
tell you
now?
quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost.
Oh, there's a
It's
lamppost in
going
the
to
title
appear
screen.
at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them.
Hiya, Graham.
And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
How are you, Graham? Graham, this is a weird game. It's cool, though. Narrative focused. Possibly biographical? I'm not clear? As you walk around, you can leave notes. Notes you see left by other players. So is that definitely for real? Connected to the internet? What other players have left? Bit of a Souls mechanic, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry about the small text again. Nice room. Full stop. Not. Yeah, so
First off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention.
You don't want to come on too strong.
I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me.
Oh.
And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
So this one is, I just saw a flying penguin. Let me tell you, it was the most...
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing, I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, these are clearly quite emotionally, mostly resonant, metaphorical looks into someone's psyche, these games, so yeah, I can see that. I do like that comment about wanting to do less of the messy in-person socialising. Let's all just make games instead and get everyone else to play them. I mean, the only kind of feeling we'll get from my personality is that I just like 16-bit games. Hiya, Joe. Yeah, again, I assume you can't make these out. I barely can. I'm sorry, they're so. Yeah, a lot of these are things like I need someone to talk to, or next time I will do better. A lot of short emotional statements. The really long one we came across was something like I just saw a flying penguin and various simple sentences as to why it was the most majestic thing they'd ever seen. Don't listen to the other notes. It's like Dark Souls, but you go blind. It's safe. There's scale to this game, isn't there? He said he hoped he hadn't missed anyone out. It's easy to do when there's a lot of people. He saw a person walking down there, now it won't come back. How are you, Joe? It's great to see you in streams again, man, but I can also completely understand why you did want a break. It's all good, man. Oh, maybe I'll feel someday. Well, maybe I'll feel real sometime. Gosh. Yeah, as this goes on, the game's kind of lingering a bit more in, I mean, we were probably meant to be walking more than we were when he was talking still, the narrator. Still alive.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
That one is OMG, I've been here for literally an hour, what do I do? And then HALP. H-A-L-P. HALP.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Gosh. Yeah, I guess walking sim. I know that genre name is sometimes used in a derogatory manner, but I guess somewhat. So I guess the general definition of a walking sim is just kind of a game you go through without it necessarily challenging you in the traditional game way. Probably more so challenging in a narrative sense. Is that lamppost? God. Someone's demanding in the bottom left corner that we speak. I'm trying to find someone. Kraken. Does it emulate that Fatboy Slim music video he's in?
It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
What was that title? Porn Stars Die 2, was it? Yeah, this is fascinating. Definitely not for everyone, but as I say, I'm probably not going to have any immensely insightful readings into what the game's going for thematically, but I like the ride.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Ah! That's the upgraded version? So this keeps... Oh, okay, so what... Oh, I see. So what furniture ought to go in the centre of the room? Oh, we need you on this, Joel! Our resident happy home designer in the nuclear wasteland. So what we got? How about a TV with surround sound, a fridge, or put a giant hole in the ground? Anyone want to shout one out? So TV with so the options are TV, fridge, or giant hole in the ground. Yeah, no worries, Cumber. Why did you think your headphones were broken, Rainbow? The hole, cool. Put a giant hole in the ground. I guess in a very abstract way, that could be a hole in the ground. So we've got a picture of a horse. I'd like a washing machine. 10 stoves lined up along the wall. God, I wish I could say where this is going. Yeah, like that bit of Harry Potter lore that J.K. Rowling dropped at some point, right? Gosh. So we've got a picture of a horse, washing machine, or 10 stoves. Cool. Give it a few seconds, and if not, well, I don't know if any of this... I suspect none of this matters, really. Just admiring the pretty skybox. Okay, we'll go... I want pictures... I want a picture of a horse. Okay, I don't think it actually matters what we say. I think we should light this room up a bit. Tesla coils. What's that? Recessed electric 6-inch soft LED ceiling lights with... or a skylight full ceiling window. But it's just gonna do... But... No, it's put the lamp down. This is so cruel. This game gave us something of the feel of agency, and it's not, Okay, so the answers are, because the question is you need a table. The answers are, who are you? Where exactly are you doing this from? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference, and tables were invented in 1935. I like the non sequitur of tables were invented and perhaps driving home the point that it doesn't matter what we say. Oh my
There's a bit more to this one, but still it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake. So okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Oh, I know the one you mean, Joel. Is it the unfinished swan, I want to say? I always wanted to play that. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that small text. I wish I'd known about that. Might be able to get around that. Let's go over to the photo frame and click it to turn slightly. Very slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it back on. Go to the left side sofa, move in. Finally touch the That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be I probably won't remember all that. So what, is this a prison break? Trying to execute. Yeah, I can tell you were reminded of that, Joe. Yeah.
And of course, now the temple is gone.
I mean, it is a bit
Splatoon
Splatoon the way
events
the
to
blobs splot about, yeah.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside.
God.
Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally,
stone wall
I think it's
textures.
awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
This is a very good character study, isn't it? I like a kind of character study narrative that really looks into the way. When I say character, maybe this Coda is. I feel like this has to be biographical in some way, or like there has to be some sort of real-world influence that snuck into this, if not exactly one-to-one with what we're seeing. Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's a very it's a big change of pace for we're typically playing very actiony games here, aren't we? But I fancy something a bit different, and this is also only like an hour and a bit long, so the text is, "Hello, who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison." Is our answer apparently, which I can't. Oh, there we go. You're me. So you were trapped in the prison too. I was in
It's
the
a
village.
conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Oh god. Get that poor lad in a therapist's office. Oh. Feel for your Coda. So we talked about what it's like to escape. Do you feel any difference? Sometimes I'm scared I'll get out and then things will be exactly the same as before. It actually does change. I don't feel like the same person at all. Oh good, that's so nice to hear. I don't know how disturbing it's meant to be. I mean, this bit's a little isolated, isn't it? Remember to enjoy... Oh, no. Some of these answers are a bit cynical. It's still me, but I'm not somehow. It's hard to describe. Did you get a call from another version of you when you were... God, we need a timeline for all this. I'm the first person to call back. Can you tell me how to get out? To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. Oh, that's horrible advice. To get out, just talk with me for a bit. Yeah, they're not having that. So you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. I will be here for as long as you need. Oh gosh. I don't know how far into this we are, it's
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay.
oh dear, did
Wouldn't
we
that be nice?
So apparently the game's going
So
until
what would it look like
2011.
if Coda wanted
Already
to
on
make a game
2009
about talking to someone other than himself?
Yeah, very much so, Charles. I'm sometimes a bit worried with something weird like this, how well it'll play on stream, but... sorry if you keep
To me,
hearing
this
horrible
environment
noises,
is
that's
meant to
my
represent
headphone
Coda's
lead.
puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Yeah, I think it probably... I think it makes for a good stream, I don't know, it's certainly fascinating. I do love that there's a market for these kind of, like, not every game needs to be 30 hours. And games are also an incredibly interesting canvas to do all sorts of bizarro storytelling in. Like, you could probably do a narrative similar to this in another medium, but the very specific way this is tackling games, I think, would have to be... Well, hopefully you can read that. I'm glad as heck that you showed up, though I might be having to clean this entire
You'll
house
notice that the
all
quality
myself.
of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Well, the text is actually legible now. Although again, I don't know if it'd be bigger with different settings. What's wrong? What's wrong with the stream? Did you say check your stream? What do you, forgive me, what do you mean? It seems to be okay looking at OBS, is it not online? Do let me know if there's something up. I'll finish here in the meantime, could you please? No, there we go. Oh, check your Steam! Oh, right. Oh, thank you, Belk. Oh, it's that Hilux game you mentioned. Oh, thank you. I'll talk to you about that after. Thank you. Streamed hands. Thank you very much. Please run to the bedroom, make the bed. Thank you very much for that. Doesn't that look nice? I wish I could make a bed that well. I bloody well can't. It's like when I try and wrap presents, it just looks all creased and horrible. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? Look, and I feel a kind of calm that rests in the pit of my rib cage. Oh gosh. My soul just can't be soothed any other way apart from house cleaning. Cool. Always put that be, if you're over someone's house, have good etiquette, put the pillows where they should be. Maybe mop that up as long as you're over there. About to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. Make it especially cheesy. I've got good cheese tolerance. Oh, Pentastream, a time spinner. I didn't know that. I didn't know. Okay. Eddie's dish. Oh, what's up with the cheesy thing? I assume you could probably just about make. Well, it depends what device you're watching the stream on. Oh, there we go. A bit of overcooked. Washing the dishes. This is strange. So yeah, after this finishes, we might go raid pads or so. Still books scattered on the floor of the bedroom. That's what this is leading up to. I like the music. I like the tune here though. Nice bit of acoustic.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Darling, let me tell you something. In your lifetime, you're going to clean a lot of houses, and among all of those, a few of them will stick out as truly wonderful, beautiful experiences. Oh,
I know
that
that
will be the
Koga
ones that
really
were
liked this
easy.
game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy.
Grossly
All the time.
happy.
Just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
That's a bit overwhelming, isn't it? Well, it's the importance of pacing, isn't it, in any kind of narrative? You can't have it always be firing on all cylinders. I think even with like action games, you probably need like little. I mean, it depends how long the game is. At the very least, you need like I don't know, the interstitials in between like levels and such. God, what was Oh, I've seen footage of it. What's that like house building? Property selling game on Steam. I was going to say that occurs to me that one's house is like one soul. Sounds a little bit like a Life is Strange song this with the acoustic guitar. Let's keep doing it, gosh. How much of this game is cleaning up this house? Nice, Cricket, how far are you in that? I remember you said you took a bit of a break from it, didn't you? Twilight Princess HD.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
I don't know, it's driving me a bit. It's inciting the feeling of madness a little bit though, because we're cleaning up things that have already been
But,
already
of
cleaned.
course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
The classic, yeah. Yeah, I do wonder what form we'll see Twilight Princess and whatnot in again. Technically, the most recent re-release of it is like the Nvidia Shield in China, which got a number of Wii games.
Which
on
is
it.
the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it. This one gets a bit goofy.
Ooh, in the lecture. Oh god, it's one of those dreams where I'm back in uni again. I've got a million deadlines to beat. It's a packed house, isn't it? It's like that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game from the very first one they made, where it just showed the background with nobody in the audience. You didn't even see Chris Tarrant, you just heard him. This workshop's going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I. So it's practicing humility, this course then, is it? Oh gosh, what? See, the words for this were the question.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
Ah! What? Oh, come on, how did we not hear that?
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Nice. I want to jump into it. On the way to work, I told an elderly person to start contributing to society. Oh god. Being alive must be... If you are torturing yourself to find the right solutions for your life... Oh god. Seek out only one thing. What is the easiest, simplest path forward? Ha ha ha, just kidding. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, two of the answers are always highlighted in grey and one is in hello. I don't know if that's to indicate anything. Everyone run.
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Like seeing the black hole of the apocalypse.
I think about this game a lot these days.
Oh god. Clever though, you know, different perspective and whatnot.
This one took a lot
Yeah, the
longer
clever
than all
use
the
of
others for
the
Coda
medium
to
of
make.
playing the
It was
game
4
as a
months between
storytelling
this and the last one.
technique.
That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
It's got very affable to me though, the narrator, hasn't it? I mean, it helps this not kind of seem pompous, I think. He's baseball turns. Oh gosh, what? Ah! Oh, this is like this is the game cover. Well, this is one of the covers I've seen for this stage with the lights. The scene you will be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against this wall. Good, stay right there. Moving across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. How did this game read me so well? So you want chance to learn something from her, so say something. So we're gonna say, where is the bathroom? What are you doing? You're deflecting, you're not saying what... How do you know? How do you know that's, oh wow, okay, so it's not letting us pick the actual, I always like going for a non sequitur choice with given the option like that. Yeah, I can though actually. Yeah, it hopefully doesn't end the same way that scene does though in Parasite Eve. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. A lot of people around us, so we got cones that bounce when you touch them will represent the people nearby. So we're gonna be awful to these people, then, I guess. I bet you've learned to lean into the pain. Oh, you know what this is reminding me of as well? That dream sequence that pops up in Twin Peaks. You know, the famous one with like the red curtain background, where people talk backwards and such. Try stepping back from this thing. Oh god. How big some of these environments are. It's made quite a good VR game, this one. I mean, it wouldn't desperately need it, but you're clearly kind of meant to immerse yourself in these. The game doesn't really require, like...
The game ends with
you could
this
probably just stick it in
premonition
VR,
of
like,
what's
as it
going
is
to happen
before.
next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success,
Oh,
the
God.
answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away.
Oh.
Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer.
So there's a
But what can you
vulnerability
do?
to Coda, isn't there?
After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Yeah, I was trying to get an idea, because apparently he made games between 2008 and 2010. And like, we were getting a new game every month. And as I say, apparently this game is meant to be very, very short, so... But it's kind of getting to a point where it's taking more time in between to make games. I just saw your Ocarina of Time comment, Joe. I tell you what, you should, because people always joke about you with Hyrule Field. There's that website where you can just like view a game environment, isn't there, and like be a flying camera in it. You should just go on that, go for all the Ocarina of Time environments, and just say, "Yep, I've beaten it now." That'll be a way to substitute it. So Mobius strip, is it a Mobius strip? To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have webcam on, so can you all trust me that I'll just have my eyes closed? I do, for real. I want to experience however you're meant to actually do those. Okay. I kind of felt like... I assume it's a kind of white light of some sort. I definitely felt the game brightened up there. But I'm not getting anything... I have no idea what's on the screen. Is it playing me for a fool? Does it say like...
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible.
No, you
otherwise.
son of a bitch!
And there is a solution, by the way.
Oh, God. So I see. Did that just come up straight away as soon as I clicked? That's quite amusing. I honestly... I got this sense, like, you know when your eyes are closed, but you can still kind of sense the light. No. Oh, right. What's going on? Oh, wow, okay. I'll have to watch that part of the stream back. Please, someone talk to me. Okay, this was a good game to stream just for that moment alone, wasn't it? Someone help. Oh god, so you're blind. Oh, everyone's blind. So we're in the Starship Star Enterprise. Your research. What's going on? God. I did get anxious when it said to close your eyes, because I was like, oh god. Oh, I see that. Oh, the bloody door is coming to. I didn't know why we were. Oh, SS Whisper. God. So, asteroid style, that door from the puzzle we keep doing. It's just making its way towards us. To speak something that is honest. I can't keep making... Oh, God. Oof. So we had to stop it by saying something honest.
Like I said, I was
I'm guessing
getting
from the
concerned.
point of code.
First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
The mental health angle this is taken, I think, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Exclamation mark. What is this? Pervert. This is cozy. Don't get out of here. This is, you know what's impressive about this? I couldn't tell you what Coda looks like, what he sounds like. But I find myself kind of empathizing with and find them a really interesting character. Just kind of through the game's point, I guess, just through his games, and obviously the narrations worked, but like he's much more well-rounded than so many, you know, characters you see and interact with physically in so many games. Like it just occurred to me, like, oh, that's actually quite a clever thing this game's doing. Yeah, I could see that actually. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of bizarre tree You go to right at the end of Majora's Mask, yeah. Looking for a machine. You have to take me to it. Yeah, I fancy doing a few more of these kind of games.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
Oh, Shinto Shrine? I think I've seen that one, Cricket. Yeah, it's the Bubsy 3D one, isn't it? That gets weirdly existential.
From my perspective at
all
the
other
time,
kind of fun
and
things.
just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Yeah, no worries, Jarrett. Just press the switch. Ray.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Oh, God. I can't listen to people crying very easily. It's really... It's contagious, it really upsets me. Oh god. Yeah, I feel like this has got to be probably autobiographical in some way. The guy who made Stanley Parable maybe went through something like this. So it reminded me a bit of They Live with all
Seeing
like
this
the
game
big
at the time that
words.
he made it, it looked
Billboards.
really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
So every time we basically lie to ourselves by saying, basically do
I don't
that
know.
comic of the
This
dog
is
in
what
the
I felt at
fire.
the time.
Like, this is fine.
I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
Oh god.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I would have expected this to be... I thought this was going to have a bit of a jokey, sardonic tone to it. I think in light ways it does, but it's gone for a register I didn't expect. Because the only ways it's... Because we were talking about like possibly being creepy as well, but the only ways it's creepy are just how easy it could be to fall into that kind of depression, like channeling all your... so much emotional energy into your work like this. I intend to be brutal. Very good. Someone called the press. Oh, the machine calls itself Coda. Oh gosh. If it's okay, I won't read every single one of those out. I like that odd checkered Z outfits.
And of course, it's the machine.
Still feeding us. Oh god! I don't, all these aren't like, this is meant to be the guy making the games, right? Coda, like with him very symbolically represented as a cold husk of a machine that's still spluttering along. All these answers just guilt tripping the heck out of. Apologise for leaving. No, nothing. I want to go easy on him. Yeah, this took on a far grimmer. I mean, not grim in the way you traditionally imagine a game being grim, but my friends. Falls on me to deliver bad news. I like this way he's represented people in his games. Cube heads they've got going on. She refuses to admit deliberately hurts. We'll find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. To show it that we are not failures. Follow me, we will destroy everything the machine has created. We won't destroy the machine, because that implies murder of some kind. I think that's really what Coda needs right now. He just needs a break and... from it, no. Surprise! It's secretly an FPS. Oh, there we go. This is like reverse unfinished swan, isn't it, Jara? We're undoing all the black splotches instead of making them. Oh, Coda, I'll make sure you. Coda, I'll make sure you are known forever.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
Yeah, I'd like to play it for this one. I think it's a Sony published thing, isn't it? It's, maybe I'll grab that on PS4 sometime. I think at one point I probably thought with that, oh, I'll get it in the Steam sale, but
So I started showing Coda's work to people.
I forget that Sony did publish stuff
the
like
islands
that.
that you just played, the theater,
Is
the
it
notes,
Counter
the house
Spy?
cleaning game, and
A
some
game
of the
they
prison
published
escape
as well, I
games.
think.
I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
But... oh wait, there was the sad turn to those though. Put down your weapon. Oh, is it that? Oh, what?
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need. to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling, the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy, so beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
I mean, it doesn't sound like he got Coda's permission to show people his... I suppose it's the thought he would have been reluctant.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
God, this game wants to do unsettling sound design. It does do it. It hasn't done it throughout, but just sprinkled it in.
This room actually has a maze in it.
Oh, good.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible.
Oh, damn it,
And then
Coda!
every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
I keep wondering bits like this. It's like the bit where you're meant to wait for an hour earlier, but he just lets you press enter. I keep wondering, are there actual achievements for doing those? I mean, this doesn't seem possible as far as I can tell, but let's get that bridge. Hi, Jeff. It's taking a bit of a grim tone, but not traditionally grim. Just the fella making these games just seems to spiral more and more into
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first
To
game that's needed
unhappiness,
some
unfortunately.
modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
I had Darty Dot Dots. I do like that username. 7272 8. Oh, it's not actually that. Maybe it changes for each player, I don't know. Oh, Crickham! I see what you did there, you sneak. So I don't think that's the answer. See, this beat Pokemon Sword and Shield and letting you put in avenue for rude numbers. Oh, I see that put that up. Yeah, thanks for popping in, Darty Darts. Hope you're well. I mean, the basic premise is we're going through all the games made by the narrator of this game, his friends. And, I mean, they're games that are very, very kind of, they use the interactive medium to kind of convey an emotion, basically, or do something metaphorical and symbolic.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
Yeah,
for not
it's basically a
this game?
character study, this game.
I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why.
Hello,
I
Ben.
remember, it's
How are
June
you?
of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
Stairs in this game. It's like in Mario 64 when you don't have 70 stars. Still trying to go
I just
up
felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in
Oh
someone.
god.
I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed.
And the rater's in the bad place as well. / possibly the same
Where did I
person.
screw up?
Yeah, it seems like it's starting to converge there, doesn't it? Yeah, Dave. Oh gosh.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
So, I guess because we showed them to other people, kept prodding him to say what they meant.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I hope not, Jeff.
And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important.
About you a fraud.
They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, it was... I felt good about myself. Finally. For
Oh my
a
gosh.
moment, while I had that, I liked...
Wait a minute. How many? Oh my god, Jeff. Jeff, what have you done? Jesus Christ. Jeff, you don't have to get... Oh my lord. Oh my god. Oh, DK's feet are gonna be sore, man. Oh, dude, you don't have to do that. Oh. I know it's... I know it's Christmas, but Jesus, man. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my god. What do I say to that? Oh, we're clearing a lot of Donkey Kong Country 1 bonus levels. The subs must flow again. Oh my god, Trev. Oh, you did have to do this, man. Seriously, is this okay? Like, you said before you won't do these unless you're in a place financially you can, and you don't have to, I swear. Oh my lord. Oh, look at all these other cons. Oh god. Oh my... I've never been this incredulous in my life. Oh my god, Shade's deco. Thank you, Dotty Dots. I know. What the hell has he done? Oh, there's so many to go through still. Oh god. I hope it's okay. I'm actually going to use this as a quick toilet break while these keep going. We can't really have them playing over the game, but we must let DK keep. Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. Oh my goodness, man. I splashed cold water on my face to get back to reality. Back in a second. Oh my god, they're still going! They're still going! Oh man. I don't know if I should be new to this by now in case anyone's just going insane from the constant... the constant bonus. Yeah, so we got into Alicia Jane. Oh, that's the last one. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Oh no! Dotty Dots follow. Thank you, Dotty Dots. Oh my god, Jeff, I'm speechless, man. Oh god. Was it so everyone could get all the Christmas emotes? Because I assume there's really got, because they get handed out with subs, don't they? Kind of independently. Oh. That's DK once he realises what pain his feet are in from all that does. Oh god, he really is! He's the most reliable reindeer. Oh god. That's provided some much needed levity actually for how how sad this game was getting. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff. Oh god. I'm exhausted. I don't think we've got much of the game left to go, but oh, I didn't recognise that quote, Ash. James, Bible reindeer. I had to watch the Mashins again, it's been too long. I was reminiscing about it with Cumberdanes the other day. I love his old videos I used to watch over and over. Good night, Rainbow. Thanks so much. Thanks again for this. God, everyone's been really nice this evening. Thank you for the gift game, man. Take it easy. Thank you so much. Good night. That's how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce that phrase. Alright, let's get back to the God. Oh, Jeff, it's the kind of generosity they speak about in handed down fables of olden times, and oh god, oh, I'm so gosh. Let's get back, shall we? Oh god.
To myself.
Forget to that girl shit. Back to the misery. You stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes. Give them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me. Oh gosh, yeah, because it did kind of. Oh, would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them. Oh god, so it really. Assuming they're different people, which they might not be, he really. I guess he did violate. Yeah, he did violate a kind of a trust there, especially like something for someone in quite a vulnerable position. And then, so the narrator was the one that added the lamppost to the games after. The narrator kind of took on a bit of a sinister vibe, which.
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself, and as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me to preserve. Well, the weird thing is, the narrator presented himself as the guy who made this game and who made Stanley Parable. So, he doesn't paint himself in a very good light with these recent revelations. Joe. Oh. Has Jeff made jokes about you being old? Because I absolutely want you to make them in like the disgusting number of times you have them made against you, so... It just means they've only got one joke, Joe. It's hard to be witty for some folks, so they just have to rely on the same joke over and over. Throw it back. But if you get frustrated or broken, says more about it. Yeah, so actually Coda wasn't... So this whole time Coda was basically trying to say, please bugger off, dude, let me make my games. Or else this doesn't make sense to you just yet. It is fine, you're not my problem to solve, but I do hope that one day it clicks that you make peace with this thing you're wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
That's all I'm talking about. Say anything. I had no idea of any of this in this game. Oh, game!
That's why I'm releasing this
That's
collection
cool,
of your work.
Switches
because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again?
Sorry.
I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete.
This is kids.
Whatever that
is
wholeness
it?
is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that
The
I never
space
was.
is getting smaller.
I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please.
Oh god.
I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Oh my god. God, this has taken us places, hasn't it? That's quite a clever spin on that, because it's victory! What victory? Yeah, unfortunately, Armor, I haven't played Stanley Parable. I really feel like I should have, because there might be an impact to that. That perhaps I'm missing without that context, but to be honest, this is still
More,
astounded me in quite a few ways.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more.
A different voice.
It's like a disease.
Yeah, quite, Jeff. It's like it's a more somber Halloween month all over again for us, isn't it? I don't know how clear this has been. I've been very taken with this. I think it's done what it set out to do, like, marvellously well. It's twisted my brain in knots. I think I expected it to do that, but not in the way it's done at all.
Solution.
Especially with those recent revelations. Oh god, it's cleverly done, isn't it? I'd say that's about as good as the train leveling GoldenEye. Yeah, definitely. I still don't really know
Guess
much
if someone
about.
had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I
Gosh,
wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed.
Oh god, yeah, the main.
Maybe he just likes making prisons.
The narrator was projected like mad, wasn't they? I did think at one point it was a bit sort of... God, he's really obsessive with his friends' games, like it. But like, part of me wanted to kind of say, like, is that like the extent to which he's focusing on all this? Is that okay? But then part of me was like, oh, you know, maybe it's
Even
just the friends
now, the
showing
disease is telling me to
interest.
stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are.
Oh
They'll
man.
hate you.
Oh good. I don't know anything about Eminem Stan, I'm so sorry. Is that similarly, possibly autobiographical in pretty gnarly ways? It's a real feeling of claustrophobia in this game at times as well. Like this environment, I feel terribly comfortable in. Yeah, I do own that. The thing is, I read they would do the director's cut version or something to that effect of Stanley Parable Amadeus.
If
Which
I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
Yeah, it's weird though, Armor, because Stanley Parable doesn't, at least from my vague understanding of what it is, doesn't strike me as a game that would desperately need an updated version. So I don't really know. I'd be tempted to play it right away, just like, well not right away, but soon, like after how much I've liked this.
What now?
But I didn't know if I should wait for that. But then it's only meant, I think it's meant to be a similar length to this, right? Like not much more than an hour. Also. Yeah, maybe. I
I
mean,
think I need to go.
we'll see how it handles the Steam.
I'm sorry, because
Steam
I know that I
release.
said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Yeah, but like, so, as I say, I do own Stanley Parable on Steam. It's been in there for years, that library. It's a shit. I could have set 1 hour aside at some point by now to have played that. But yeah, whether the new updated version will just update that one for free on if you own it on Steam, or if they'll do like Square did with Final Fantasy VIII Remastered and just be like, nope, you just have to buy it again. Not even a discount. Did they announce that? Because I think the original was PC only, I want to say. Or did it come to consoles? I can't remember. Because didn't the director's cut get announced at like some sort? Was it like an Xbox vid or something like that? No, I'm still alive. Thanks all around to you then for so long as well. Take it easy. Good night. Oh, good. Oh, it is Raisin. Like Glance, it looks like a Tomb Raider tomb from the first game. Oh, really, Cumber? Yeah, if you can, I'll try to say too much in like the next minute or so about what's happened. This game is, I highly, highly recommend this. Oh, sorry, unless you mean Pence's game. What was it called? It was like a Metroidvania sort of thing, I think. Still Life said, right? Curious to see what that is. Yeah, we'll probably raid Pence now. I was thinking of maybe playing another thing after this, but... I think after how much... Slowing down? Or is this just a very long corridor? Play the piano. I learned to play keyboard as a child, but I'd be rusty as hell now. I never really learned quote-unquote piano, which is to say, like, actually doing, I guess, more melodic style note playing with the left hand. Like, I guess you would describe it as playing keyboards when you are just doing chords with the left hand. That's what I did. Oh, Pence's game, oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't recognise the name at all. Oh, it's the laser again. Oh. Laser that killed us in the earlier game. The narrator just... I'm impressed they can render that far, to be honest. Maybe it's doing a trick by this point. Yes, that's cool. I didn't realise like every channel basically has that points feature now. It's just I can do kind of unique stuff with it then, I guess. Is it? Oh, right, we can actually... We just forever race it. Oh god. Start to feel queasy from this. I'll say yes, Destiny. Destiny. Couple of names without any.
Turn back.
Oh, okay, Armor. Okay, yeah. So I probably will play the original movie. I mean, it's an hour long, so. Yeah. God. Yeah, big thumbs up for this. If you don't mind the game getting a bit quote-unquote real, shall we say. Yeah, it's fascinating. A lot to unpack there. Like, I'm a bit concerned. I mean, this is, oh, I recognise... thought I recognised the name there. I don't actually. Yeah, I think one of those I might be following on Twitter. But I won't analyse their games as much as the narrator did here. Honest, unhealthily so. Oh, God. Yeah, is the guy who made this alright? Like, how autobiographical was this? Oh my god, wow. Yeah, one masterful little piece of interactive storytelling that's just kind of left me a puddle of just, oh god, how do I... It's definitely what I'm going to read up on a bit. I really want to read about the making of that. Like, what were they... That's a great theme song from that game, though. I know it from the Persona 4 dancing game. God, man. I'm considering maybe playing something else very quickly. Just trying to decide what. But yeah, highly recommend. I mean, if you've been here for a lot of this, I guess you've had a lot of the kind of twists spelled out for you. I can't remember how I got this game either. It was probably a Humble Bundle. Merry Christmas! Yeah, I think whatever possible intention I had of maybe finding Christmassy games, it went out the window just a little. Oops. My bad. Oh, God. Yeah, I think we'll do more games on. I really love I love a game that really kind of tackles on emotions you perhaps don't expect from the medium always, or feelings of intrigue, or as I say, basically just a character study, but not studying the subject I thought it was initially. Even though they may be one and the same. I think that's like the speculation I saw in the Steam forums for that. People wondering if okay, I'll tell you what, I've got an idea of what we can play actually. So, only very quickly. Yeah. I would stick that on now actually to DKR, Diddy Racing, but yeah, we'll do a couple of levels of this game. It's one that, can you believe Jeff gifted me something? From the game Jeff gifted me. We'll just play it a little bit. So I'll just do like maybe a level or two in that raid pads. We tempted to go sooner, but we've still got quite a few viewers in, although that'll also be quite a fun thing when we, Yeah, no worries, Java. Oh, the game crashed. Good. Try that again, shall we? Yeah, we're not going to be much longer anyway, and that was kind of the main event, what we just played. Good night, Java! Oh, I'd say what, sorry, I'm being a pain, yeah. I always am. Let me just tweak something quick here. I don't blame you if you've gone over to Bed's Street. It's probably a bit more eventful than this one is at the moment. But yeah, that was a very... I think I knew I tend to like kind of weird narrative focused games like that. So yeah, that was quite... Hey, here we go. That's what it's been. Actually, no, we won't, because you have to do a tutorial at the start. We'll just play a quick level. So this is Spark the Electric Justin 2. This game is incredibly cool. This is basically a Sonic 3D game, more or less. Yeah, I've played it in bits and drabs here and there, basically. We'll just do a couple of levels of it, 'cause it's such a cool little game, this. I think I've, have I got What Remains of Edith Finch? I think I have. Yeah, again, feeling quite shocked. I should have known if I try around the game it later. Yeah, I've heard great things about both of those, so I definitely would like to try both of those. Sorry, it's getting a bit weirdly choppy at the moment. Yeah, this is, unfortunately, it's running a bit weirdly. It might be, by the way, I've got the setup over. Just looks a lot choppy than that shit, but this game is really cool. It's basically, so Sparkly Electric Jester is, it's kind of a game made by Sonic fan game makers, right? Jeff, and they kind of went on to do their own thing. With their own character. I suppose a bit like what happened with Freedom Planet. And yeah, I love the song on this level as well, which apparently was in the first game as well, which I didn't realise. But, oh, okay, I think the game just didn't like me having all the windows open. In fact, if I just try and do this, sorry about these little pauses we're getting here and there. Okay, I think that should be fine. Let's go back in again. But yeah, I really like this. It's a bit rough around the edges, as you might expect. I mean, it's probably tough enough for an indie to make any kind of polished game as it is, let alone a game of this scale. Again, I'm sorry about these constant pauses. I'm just loading chat up on my phone. Like, because this game's boring as well. Yeah, it's just great sense of speed to it. So, sorry, this is still being a bit weird. Yeah, basically Amadeus. Well, I mean, well, the only thing is though, I know, that Freedom Planet actually did start out as a Sonic fan game. I think Sparkly Electric Jester 1, which is a 2D game, I think that might have been intended to be its own thing right from the start. I think so, anyway. Yeah, this game is it's just like a bit of choppiness, so if I do want to stream this properly, I will have to look at that. But it's so, yeah, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, like you're coming to like the occasional bit of twitchiness one way or another, like maybe the camera's not quite where you want it, or something similar. God, this is so satisfying and fun to play. Such a neat little game. Like, whatever faults it might have in terms of lack of polish and whatnot, it's still just pointless. A bit of combat as well, if you kind of swap between different modes, which... I've played some of the first Smart game, not all of them. Yeah, I hope you can hear it well. I don't know how loud I've got it for the stream, actually. The music is excellent. Yeah, I think they do a nice thing where they're very Sonic-y, but they do kind of exude their own personality as well. But I suppose that's always the thing with, because I thought Freedom Planet did that well. They mainly kind of also taken inspiration from like Treasure. Like Treasure developed action games on the Mega Drive and whatnot. I think this one has like the sort of hat, like the combat aspects of it. There's still obviously quite a bit of Sonic DNA though. I think, at least for like a relatively simple early level like this, I think it controls pretty well. I mean, with any game like this, it's when you start moving quickly, you start to worry about how it might hold up in terms of... yeah, it does really, but we're only on this for like a few more minutes, basically. I have checked on the stream, but we'll probably just do this then. I just fancy sticking something else on quite quickly. I was thinking of maybe doing a retrofit, but actually no, I probably could have. For reasons that are too boring to explain, that might be a bit tricky to swap on my current setup. Maybe without restarting the stream. Well, when I've played this game, I'm really kind of like I'm not looking at the cutscenes and whatnot. If I do properly sit down to play through it, I will do. It's got a bit of a narrative as well. But yeah, I would like to. I think at least this one, maybe the first game. I do own the first game as well, and again, thank you for gifting it to me, Jeff. It's such a cool little and just immediately was taken by how it's on the soundtrack as well. This kind of does these. The song on this act kind of does the Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles film, where it's sort of a remix of the 2D just here. And these have that quality I like in the best Sonic games, right? It almost feels like there's quite a lot that you can miss. It's a great way to encourage replay, but really give it a nice sense of scale and freedom. You can just kind of set the path out for yourself. Look, I assume there's probably not into it too much. I assume there's like collectibles you can pick up. I mean, there is, but I mean, if there's like ones that like needed from it. But yeah, it's such. I think it's remarkable in that. The one thing is, it's actually weirdly demanding, like specs-wise. You need a good, and as I said, I'm having weird problems with it. Sometimes I'm hearing a bit choppy. That might be just the way I'm streaming on OBS. So I would definitely test it with that before I stream it tomorrow. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it's another kind of good. I love a game like this when you can kind of use a jump attack to kind of yourself forward. Maybe just keep the pace of the game going. Notice I've been quite jittery going about it, so it's fun. The game kind of encourages just speed through it quickly like this. The only thing with a game like this as well is I think it's probably hard to kind of always convey where you're meant to go next. I've noticed that with one or two like those proof of concept Sonic 3D fan game demos, which are otherwise usually quite amazing and just brimming with potential. It does just make me realise how easy it is for a design like this to get to perhaps be a bit unfocused. It's such a fine line to balance between. But yeah, this is unfortunately both of these games I believe are still PC only. I don't think they were quite as I don't think we've seen them talked about as much as Freedom. So maybe they weren't quite successful as that. I mean, they got to make a sequel, so I've seen the first one go terribly at least. But yeah, hopefully these get console ports. I mean, I imagine they're probably quite a small team, so I'd give the hat. Yeah, well, that would be fun. Yeah, I looked out with Hat in Time on that. There just happened to be a Christmas and Valentine costume we could stick on. Not as much here, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I remember thinking that when I first played this. There's a checkpoint right here. And then there's the goal. Well, you've got enemies now. Maybe that's for if you're looking about for stuff, I don't know. Actually, I simply don't do that level, but I'm really enjoying this, so... to give the boss a look. We're going to have to play for the whole game, aren't we? And yeah, I'm a bit confused as well because weirdly dramatic tone to this. Oh god! Clenched fist up. Yes, yes. We'll worry about that when we do a proper stream of this. Yeah, a bit of a Sonic Adventure 2 to the first more Sonic things. Yeah, the music is great. I'm ready. really sorry, I only just noticed how loud the game sound is. I just noticed it's like, wait a minute, that's like the same volume or higher than my voice, so you probably can't hear me. Sorry. Yeah, oh god, yeah, I did worry about you with that, Jeff, like how... Yeah, because that was like 2 AM finish, wasn't it? And you had to get up at 6. Oh my gosh.
I would really prefer if you would be quiet.
You say that to the game, right, Cricket? But yeah, no worries at all. Again, thank you so goddamn much for the gift subs. I still cannot get over that. I don't think I ever will. You do not need to gift any more. For a very good... I mean, you don't need to gift any at all regardless, really. Oh yeah, we've got like a vocal song here as well, like Crush 40 style. But yeah, thank you so much for that, Jeff. I hope everyone enjoys the emotes for the month. God, what a treat. Again, thank you, Jeff Claus. I know, right? Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. Hope you're having a good night's sleep, alright? Better than last night, so... Good night, man. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the bad audio balance on this. You probably couldn't hear much of what I was saying. Oh, I really should have checked that proper. I got fun. I can't make out what he's saying. There's probably lyrics about following a rainbow or similar. I'm okay with that. Yeah, the right boss here, a bit simple. Yeah, it's one I'm kind of dreading losing on, because the health bar takes quite a while to go down. But I haven't tried out as much as the other... Oh gosh. Pressed the wrong button. Dash, that'll be right. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's my fault. I already did my mid-air dash, so... let's see if we can sort this out. I know, right, Fireball? Hope you're doing well, Fireball. We finished the beginner's guide, which was took us to many a place. I was very taken with it. Quite a bit different from this game, as you can see. I've got to do this. Well, we'll try and do this boss, then we'll just pop over to Pence's room. Yeah, it's a cool little boss. This is taking a bit too. Maybe I'll try another attack. Yeah, see, that might be slower even. What the hell? I didn't know if it was like a Pokemon type advantage. Oh, that one seems quite quick. I think. Nice. I think we do have iframes as well. That dash. That's quite fun. I like this song. Again, I can't make out the lyrics because I got my headset quite on a fairly quiet setting, but it does sound very Crush 40, doesn't it? Which is fun. Yeah, look how quick we can dash as well. I'm very much about fast moving in games. I always love that. That's why I like, well, at least the good Sonic games. So. Yeah, I think I will stream this at some point. No, we won't skip the weirdly serious looking story. I hope it doesn't get too over the top in that regard. I don't need Smart the Electric Jester to be unless it wants to do weird beginner's guide style stuff, I'd be all for that. Here we go. Ah, screw it, we'll do another level. Sorry. Okay, this one's definitely the last one. Skip these. Intention of watching them down the line. So I don't know if these are based off zones from the first game. I recognise that level name, actually. I don't know if that's the same... There we go. This is cool, we've got outright highways to... yeah, this controls reasonably well, actually. You do have to, like, I'm very slightly tilted the analog stick there. Ever so slowly. And something like even the better 3D Sonic games tend to struggle on a bit when you're moving really quickly. It's probably a bit of a difficult design decision in terms of, well, how quickly or how slowly do you let the player turn there? I suppose you have to kind of. I mean, this outfit looks a bit wintry. Vaguely. I think the game's mostly running quite smoothly now, so that's nice. Sure. Cricket, if that doesn't work, there is a way to make that work, isn't there? And I need to look into it. Thank you. Sorry, I should have changed that. I think I realised I'd be on this a little longer than I initially thought. I hope that no one comes in expecting the beginner's guide at this point. They'd be right to, but... Right, so I think this is where you've got to use, like, specific shields. Or is it the hammer one, maybe? Or is it none of them? Oh, it's the punchy one. Cool. There we go. I mean, we could just run past them, I guess. I don't know if this ever like does the thing where it locks you in a room and you have to defeat all enemies. Whee. Look how cool this is, man. Oh wow, that is very radical highway. Yeah, I really do like this. I've only played like little drips and drabs the first 2 levels. Partly to kind of benchmark it, because as I say, it's a surprisingly demanding game. It's quite a good looking one for what it is. It's got like a nice lighting and whatnot, and a simple but very pleasantly clean art style. Yeah, just a great soundtrack in this. Cool. Kraken! Said president with a photograph of Spark and Dark Spark on his desk. Can't wait. Oh god. Yeah, cause I from the little bit of dialogue I read earlier there, I was sort of like, is this trying to go for the tone of some of the 3D Sonic storylines as well? At least some of the earlier ones. Maybe a bit too much. This is cool. God, look at the scale of this. The games we've played today have had very large environments, haven't they? For very different purposes of gameplay and or storytelling, mind you. But... See the music. Yeah, the platforming feels good in this. Like it's. I'm not going to say it's the most polished game in the world, but it does, it does feel good to control, and I think they've done remarkably well for what must have been a pretty small budget. I don't know how long this was in development for. I mean, there's not really much. We can't fall off here, at least unless I guess we really screw up. I mean, I guess there's a similar to like equivalent sections in Sonic games. They're just kind of there as a little snack or a treat. After you've done a difficult platforming bit, you just get a bit of a fun little speed ahead and go really fast section. Oh god. Oh, this feels right. Okay, when we start introducing them walkways that small, I start to get a bit nervous. This is quite funny as well. We can just, I think I did watch a video review of this. I think this might have been a complaint they had, where you can just run past enemies. It's there to be ignored. I mean, you can still run fast, so... Here we have to, God, they take quite a lot of damage. bam, bam. Let's go, all Amy Rose on you. That derpy little face. That's a bit of a disadvantage, really, aren't they? Just sort of attached to a wall. Not really got much of a choice but to be wailed on there, though. Yeah, this the little dash you do there, that really makes this go. It's a great way just to immediately gain inertia, and since there is a lot of combat in this game as well, to have a dash that works for like, you know, avoiding attacks and has iframes is really good. Turkris. It's probably a bit better than like Sonic Boom and whatnot, isn't it? Definitely put it above like Sonic Forces. Right, there we go. Let's go finally raid Pence now. Okay. I could not tell you one single thing about any of these characters. They're pretty unique designs, aren't they? Cheers. Yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Bit of a weird, weird way to jump back in. We've had quite a break between this and the last stream. Hopefully I would like to stream tomorrow, but I never want to guarantee that in case something comes up. And to be honest, I have no idea what we will stream if we go on tomorrow. Maybe another story-based game like that. I really did like Beginner's Guide. I'm very taken with games like that, and I especially like them for streaming, because they're so easy just to get done in a single stream or whatnot. So I do like that. Thank you, Amadeus. Thank you so much. Yeah, have a good evening, everyone. Oh, do we have a raid message for Peds? I assume some to all of you are already there anyway, but we might as well. Oh God, come on. Actually, no, I tell you what. Sorry, but go to Peds' channel as well. But Cumberdane has gone live as well. What is he streaming? I don't think I've raided Cumberdane's before. Oh, he's streaming Titan Souls. Oh, cool. Oh, Mateus! I'm so sorry. I tend to inspire those feelings in people. Fuzzy Therapy, yeah, that's a good one. Fuzzy Therapy. I do like that. Yeah, so we'll raid, sorry, I feel a bit bad not raiding Peds, but do go to Peds' stream as well. Just do what I do, just have both on and then just raise the volume or lower the volume of one. So yeah, go to Peds' stream as well. But yeah, give Cumber a very big welcome of Fuzzy Therapy. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Shocked. Shocked. That's the white guard normal actor. Seems pretty cool though. Oh.
chests and all the